Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Adjusting Success. I'm Dr. Enrico, and I'm here for you at any time. These are always shot live. You can ask questions once you tune in. You can always leave comments in here after the fact, and I always get back to them and I'll answer your questions as they come in. I get notified on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and every other channel that we're being broadcast on. I think today's topic is really important. Might be boring for some of you, but branding versus marketing are two very different things. So that's what we're going to talk about today is branding versus marketing. This usually brings up a lot of questions. So please feel free to ask anything you want. I'll keep it short today. But branding and marketing, we could talk all night. That's why I say I'm going to keep it short, because not because it's easy. It's because it's so important to every business, small, medium, and large. We just use large businesses and corporations to mimic branding and marketing from, well, not marketing, we can never do it at their level, but branding. And you'll always hear this when you go to seminars and workshops about branding is the Disney experience, the Delta airline experience, the Universal experience, and we compare ourselves to big major brands, which is unfortunate and unfair for small businesses to do when it comes to branding, because we just don't have that type of reach, and you never will. And you never would want to. I mean, to take that stuff on and give out that much commodity or service or product would make your head spin. It takes an entire 100,000, 100 or 1,000 man team or woman team to do this. So brand and marketing are two different things. So as a service provider, what's your brand? And what does brand mean? Brand is your unique selling proposition. What is the one thing that you do, and how do you transpire that into your message? So your brand is just something where people say, aha, I understand. That's really quick on the one thing, the thing that you do. You're branding that idea, you're branding that product, you're branding that service as the one thing that you do. And I think a lot of people underthink their brand, or way overthink their brand. So when we're coming to brand, and let's say you're already in business, you're like, well, I don't have any time to revamp my brand, or I don't have any time to think about my brand. You should always be thinking about your brand. Your brand is that icon that is out there for everyone to see at all time. And as you market, your marketing dollars are small pennies into the piggy bank of your brand. And at the beginning, you only have a few pennies in there as you spend some marketing dollars. But as the months and the years go by, those pennies start to add up and your brand starts to become worth something. Make sense? So brand is really important when you get there. So when we're starting, if you're early on here, what a great time to take some time on your brand. Let's say you're just getting started, about to start, or you've been out for about a year, you're still building that brand. This is such a great time to sit down and really understand brand. I would be getting online. I would be watching YouTube videos. I would be researching on Google about best brand etiquette and going in there and saying, how did this stuff that I'm learning really transpire for me? How does that really build my brand? So your brand can be divided into personal and business, but most times your brand is you, especially as a service provider. People are buying you. So you'll see this a lot in the real estate industry, where people's brand is the real estate agent. You'll see them. They'll be on the card. They will be on the sign on the front of the house. You'll see their picture everywhere. That same lady that's been a realtor since 1979 is still using the picture from 1984 on her business card today. And then she shows up and you're like, wow, you're 96. Your picture looks like you're 40. But that's it, because they're using themselves as their brand. That's horrible branding, by the way. If your picture's from 1984, that's horrible branding. You should be updating that every 5-10 years. So when people see you, they actually match it up. So that's a great example of bad branding, but an example of that, of them being them, because they stand out in this huge ocean of realtors and in these groups, right? Remax, KW, whatever, all these brands that are out there. So they have to stand out one way or another. So they sell themselves. In service providers, sometimes that's a bad strategy to just make yourself call it. Let's say my name is John Smith and calling it Smith Chiropractic. That might not be the best brand, especially if you're thinking about expanding, if you're thinking about growing, if you're thinking about selling at some point. Hard to sell Smith Chiropractic. It just is at the end of the day. Yes, people are going to maybe rename it as they buy it, but these are things to think about your brand. Your brand is the legacy that you leave. Your brand is that icon. It's that Batman logo in the sky that goes out. When that thing shines, people know what it means. And your community will know what it means. So that's really important building that brand. Can it change? Absolutely. Should it change? Maybe. Can it evolve? Absolutely. But by having a solid brand, then we can back up and do some marketing to help solidify and grow that brand. That's what marketing is all about. Pumping dollars into something. And that brand is you. That brand is your clinic. That brand is your business. So I hope that I understand something with that. Then you can have fun with it. Then your brand should just exhume what you do through the business, through yourself, whatever it may be. If you're a hands-on practitioner, like a dentist or a chiropractor, you might want to portray that in your brand. If you're a commodity type person, maybe you're a nutritionist or a naturopath who has a lot of commodity that they give out, then maybe it's a little hands-off. But either way, that's what brand is. And that's what transpires into your marketing. Then your marketing drives that brand. And you're constantly repeating the message in different ways, trying to capture your audience. Make sense? Brand, any questions about brand? I'll wait for some more people, but that's what brand is all about. Let me check. There's a Facebook group that doesn't show up on here, so I'm just going to make sure. Yeah. So that's brand. As far as that, so then once we build that brand, it could be your logo, your tagline, your unique selling proposition. Not very many people talk about unique selling proposition, but when I first learned about it, it was absolutely mind blowing because it's your position in your industry that makes you unique. So it's called the USP or your unique selling proposition. And this is part of your brand. And what happens with that is that it is the one thing or maybe the one system that you do that separates you from your competition. Your competition is not always the exact same industry that you're in. I have a doctor not too far away from us that's like, I don't adjust kids. We adjust kids. They are not a competition. They actually refer to us when kids call their office, like, I just don't adjust I don't adjust under the age of 8, like kids. And they just send to us. That's a great relationship that we have with them. They do some great work with extremities and ankles, and we refer to them. It's a pretty cool exchange that we have there. So, and they're just not competition. So when we think about that, there's people who service the same ideal client as you, not your competition. So a hairstylist across the street may also service the same ideal client as you. 40-year-old female mother. Maybe that's your ideal client. Well, guess what? The hairstylist does that. The nail tech does that. The yoga studio does that. All these things do that as well. So brands can cooperate a little bit there. So by going through marketing and building that, you suffice and build your brand through your unique selling proposition. So some examples of a unique selling proposition is like get your pizza in 30 minutes or less, or it's free. That used to be something when I was growing up. If it doesn't show up to your house in 30 minutes or less, it's free. That builds that brand quite quickly. People are like, well, they're efficient, they're quick, they're well priced, and it's going to be here in under 30 minutes. Let's just order from those guys. So that's a unique selling proposition. You might have something like this in your office. Never wait more than 15 minutes to see a doctor. Make sure you can keep these promises. We see families all at the same time, same day appointments. You book in walk-ins welcome. Walk-ins always welcome. Whatever these things may be, those are your unique selling propositions. So your USPs, which help solidify your brand. So all about brand and marketing. So I think people mistake this thing. They think their logo is the thing that has to be plastered everywhere. 20 years ago, location was a really important thing. It was part of your brand. You wanted to be on a busy road. You wanted to be in a busy shopping complex. You wanted to be where eyes were to get walk by traffic. Now, with Google Maps and phones and GPS and everyone using this stuff all the time, location, it's not location anymore. It's maybe just one location now. It's like location, a little bit of emphasis, and more online presence. That's what I would say is more of the emphasis for where we should be putting our brand. So there you go. Some great tips there as far as brand. But you got to think about these things. What's my brand stand for? What does the community see in my brand? What's my unique selling proposition? And how am I going to fund this? How am I going to build this? It's through marketing. The answer to that is marketing. Then marketing creates a whole new funnel on the other side of like, okay, what are we going to do for marketing? How are we going to position our marketing? How do we time our marketing? What channels are we going to use for marketing? And then that's that whole sphere that pie chart of marketing and how you divide the dollars through your marketing. That's a podcast for another time. But yeah, I'll wait a couple minutes for any questions. But brand, I just wanted that for tonight. If you guys missed the Coach's Corner earlier today, that's always available. It's saved, and you can watch that later. We talked about some great stuff there. But branding is today's topic. If you have any ideas or unique things that you want to move forward, I'm getting a lot of new grads that are chiming in. Very cool to see that following our stuff, following the unique stuff. There's tons of content out there, folks. I really appreciate that you watch this stuff. It doesn't feed my ego whether 0 or 100 people watch this. It doesn't matter. It's that I'm doing something unique in my career as a chiropractor, opening up a big multidisciplinary clinic and then expanding to satellites and then maybe using this model later and getting associate doctors and getting staff and growing a team and building systems and procedures. So if that's the stuff that you're trying to do as well, that's why you're probably following me, which is great. So it's a unique niche. I'm not out here to be the next Tony Robbins. So just remember that when people start, asking, why do you do that? Why do you spend so much time doing that stuff? It's because that's what I do. I'm sharing all the information because I'm creating content. Like you should be too. You should be creating tons of content. You have so much information. The stuff that you tell your clients every single day as they walk in is the content that they want to hear. How many times do you say something to a patient and they're like, oh, that's great info. Thanks. You should take note of that and maybe shoot a video and just throw it out there. 3 people are going to see it when you put it out there. So it's not like you're giving away free tips. Those 3 people who see it are gonna be like, that is a great tip. This person knows what they're talking about. And then boom, you're planting a seed for later. So content, create that, and that's how you fuel your brand. So having a brand, and it's okay if you don't have a brand right off the start. You sometimes need to develop a brand, and that's okay too. But having a brand or having an icon that you create to use across all platforms and all visuals as you market is amazing because you're funding that brand and you're building that brand as time goes on. Good stuff. Again, just because we're shutting down the live doesn't mean you can't ask questions. If you're watching this right now, go ahead, leave a comment in the comment section and leave a question there. I get back to you. I get notified immediately when a new question is asked or a comment is left, and I go in there and I answer it for you. So not a problem there. Have a great night. Have a great week. Take care and to your success.